I'm my brother's keeper. I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame. We're the healers of the heart.
I know, right? It's just do, 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 do. Hi, everybody. Welcome to My Other's Keeper. Welcome to the beautiful, talented, handsome, wonderful young person who is to my this side, because I can't decide what side that is, because when you point, it just goes backward. But anyway, down, yes, somewhere that away. That away is Mandy. That away is Indigo. And we are so happy to see you here today. Today we are going to be continuing our chat on LGBTQIA2S. There's a lot of letters in there that I'm not remembering. A whole pile of stuff. But there's a lot of issues to go with each one of those letters. Has a whole schwack of issues right from the get-go. So we're going to say hi, Crystal. Hi, Daniel. Stream Elements. Glad you're here. I think that's more like Nightbot, right?
That's from my Twitch.
Yeah, okay. All right. So let's see. We are going to couch these issues today in how it has affected your mental health. So, and I'm assuming there's going to be a great big soup that it'll all get into there. So the other day we were talking with Indigo about their progress, their life, their process of how things have gone. Today we're going to talk about we're going to talk with Mandy about their coming out process, about their issues, about their mental health, and how things have worked themselves out. I don't want to suggest anything because I want it to be objectively and authentically your own story. So let's start with Mandy, and let's say hello. Thank you for coming.
Yeah, thanks everybody. Well, hi, I'm Mandy. I am non-binary and go by they, them pronouns. I let she slip a lot more these days. I'm very protective now of who I let use my pronouns and who I interact with. But besides that, I came up I was an 80s, 90s baby, born in 81. And now, when I say that I knew something was different, it could be a multitude of things because I'm also autistic. So it probably was the alien feeling from my autism, and you know, I knew something was just different. Things that were modeled stereotypically and taught to me never really included gayness. And I know like Kim probably remembers, but the AIDS crisis. So I definitely knew a lot about that, but I also knew that it didn't come just from gay people because my aunt had it. She was a drug user with her husband, and they both had AIDS. So I learned really quickly what that was. But I still kind of grew up in a household that viewed gayness as too weird. It's like, I heard the words freaking faggots all the time in my household.
Should I put up a trigger warning? Because there will be subjects and words and such that will be triggering for some people. Do you think we should do that?
Probably, because there's going to be some talk of bullying and a little bit of assault.
Okay, so there we go.
such as the turmoil of being the weirdest things all rolled into one body. But you know, as I got older, I started realizing that what was modeled to me, yeah, I guess I was attracted to boys, but I knew I was also like, hey, like this is Joan Jett.
Yeah,
Made
she's a
me
little hot.
realize
Yeah.
that something was like off there. I was like, huh, Joan Jett. So I came out, even though I knew how people around me viewed this, I still was like, well, like I was always vying for my approval from my grandparents. I didn't grow up with my parents, grew up with my grandparents. But I thought, well, I'm their granddaughter. They're not going to, you know, say anything mean to me, right? I mean, I should have not been surprised because mean things were said to me my whole life. But I came out and my grandmother immediately got really angry. She was like, it's just a phase. I know this. It's going to pass. Like she just kept, like she would get angry about it, but she would keep saying, it's a phase. Like, why do you have to do this? Like, you know, it's a choice. Like, why are you doing this to our family type of thing? My grandfather got real quiet. Like, he stopped saying mean things, but like anytime he wanted to say something, he just kind of left the room.
Fair.
And I guess me being me, I did hide things because I learned that a lot of things were not safe, but I also was so desperate for some sort of like, I love you, I'm proud of you, that I just kept opening myself up to getting pushback. But I just felt like the need that I had to tell people things, especially my grandparents. So that was when I was about 14. So that was 96, I believe. Yeah, it was 96. I was a sophomore. That's 10th grade, right? Sophomore is 10th grade?
Sure. We don't use that word in Canada.
Yeah, I was in 10th grade, and we didn't really have a lot of like language back then for these things. Like even elder trans people these days, like the only words we had back then were homosexual, gay, lesbian. Like, yeah, we knew people were bisexual, but nobody took it seriously. A lot of people still don't take it seriously, or they think that it's some sort of red flag, which is so weird. Talk about insecurities, but anyway, so yeah, I came out, and then I did not receive.
As trans, you came out, or
no, bisexual. Sorry, I meant to say
Bisexual.
bisexual.
Yeah, I was like,
but I
Okay,
knew
now
what
I am hearing an
bisexuality.
echo, Mandy. Yeah.
I might have
Sorry.
to put my headphones on. It's okay. Hold on one second.
It's too bad because your hair looks amazing. There we go. Are you hearing okay now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right. So where was I? Oh yeah, people didn't really take it as well because I was already really bullied. Like I got super bullied in middle school. Like people made me stay home type of bullying. Because I was too scared. Like they would like hunt me down basically.
What types of behaviors were they
driving past
angry at you for?
Just their home lives were terrible and I existed and I was meek and vulnerable and easy to
the
push
meekness
around.
right there. Yeah.
And these were all people that I grew up with in my neighborhood. My bullies were people I was supposedly friends with. But yeah, like, so I knew people probably would have something to say about it, but I didn't realize I was going to lose actual friends over it. And there was one day I was working at FYE. Well, it's FYE now. Back then it wasn't. but it was a CD shop. So I worked at a music shop, and two of my so-called friends walked in. They were guys, and I said hi, and they were acting weird. And when I went to go ring them up, I was like, hey, I said hi. And he was like, yeah, I don't talk to gay people. My boss overheard this, and she canceled his order and said, get out of the store.
That is excellent. Way to have your back.
Especially
I
in
was
at
frozen.
that time. I thought you were going to be like, and then my boss fired me because he outed me in the store.
No.
That was where my head was going. That's why I'm like, yay!
So yeah, at this point I was like turning 15. So it was like my second job, because you were able to start work at like 14 in Virginia. And I loved that job, and I was like, nobody had my back, and that was like the first adult that really like stood up for me.
And was that you were allowed to work of your own accord without your parents' permission? Like, I mean, or like they didn't have to sign a consent form to allow you to work as a minor.
No.
You could just have a job.
No, I think they did, because you go and you get your like able to work early type of like.
That's how it was for me too growing up. Like if my parents had like signed the form, I would have been able to work. That's why I was asking, because I know for our parents' generation, they could just work. Like I don't think it's unsafe that way. So I was wondering if like there was extra like stuff like the permit in place by the time that you were working too.
Yeah, I mean, it was so long ago, I don't really remember all that. I just know my first job was amazing. I loved it, other than my boss, because I could tell that he was hitting on every minor female in the place, and I ended up quitting. But anyway,
I have a different question for you than Indigo's.
Yeah.
My question is this: had you actually come out as romantically wanting women, or were these guys just being douchebags?
They were just being douchebags.
Gotcha. Okay.
The thing that like I got people shouted dyke at me a lot. There were girls that back then it was like super trendy to be bisexual. Like I feel like they weren't really bisexual people. They were just, well, let's make the guys all like hot and bothered. And I'm sitting here going, but I don't want them. Like, I just want you right now. And like, so I had to like, there was a lot of navigating a lot of things by myself, because there was nothing modeled even in media for people. There was like Will and Grace, Ellen, but it still didn't really show you like how, like the language or the behaviors of like how to grow up. Like they were adults already like out, like is their characters. I didn't really have any teenagers. And
women, there wasn't really like like either side, but specifically also like a lot of characters that were gay were mostly men.
Yep.
Because I remember learning that like the reason Ellen's whole coming out episode was such a big deal was because there weren't many women in media, or media that reflected the women's viewpoint either.
And the fact that she used the word gay. I'm gay. She didn't say I'm a lesbian. She said I'm gay. She used gender neutral words. And that was seen as absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah. And then like, I think they fired her, right?
Yes.
After that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The only media that I had watched, I think, was it Gigi? It was whatever one had there was Angelina Jolie and someone else. I think it was Gigi. And then there was Bound, which had, I think, Linda Perry as well. And so those were the only ones that I had. And even when I told my mom that I was bisexual, she told me like she was too, and she was happy for me. But she would have been happy if I did drugs with her too. So I didn't really want to like, yeah, my mom was weird. She did the like, you can have sex in my bed if you want. You can come here with your girlfriend. And I'm like, no.
Thanks, Mom, no.
No.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it wasn't that easy. And then in 90, I mean, it wasn't all hard either. Like all my friends were pretty like open, and we all like, when you come from a small town, you end up getting incestuous with your groups of friends. So that's how that went. And
you're in somebody's country song with your tall legs and your cute face.
Yep.
And I had a girlfriend at 16, and I'm still best friends with her to this day. Yeah, I mean, there was some like weirdness with her husband. He didn't like me for the longest time because he thought I was like, I think, trying to take her from him. I'm just like,
oh my word,
really? Come on, get over yourself. But anyway, so I mean, it wasn't all bad. I had some people in my corner, like some friends and stuff, and I kept a lot of. I had to learn to keep a lot of things to myself, especially around my grandparents, because they just were never happy with anything I ever did. And then 1998 hits, and Matthew Shepard, a gay guy, gets beaten to death. And then I'm getting older at this point. I was like, what, 17 in 98, I think? 99, 18, 2000. No, I was 18 in 2000, so I would have still been 16.
You said you were born in 81?
Yeah.
So in 98, you should have been 17.
I graduated in 2000 and I was 18. Oh, wait, I had already turned 18. That's right. Never mind. I started school late, so I was like 1 year older than everybody.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, yeah, Matthew Shepard happened, and then I started feeling very unsafe. Like, could this happen to someone like me? Could it happen to one of my friends? And I don't, because it's so long ago, I don't remember the outcome. I think, didn't they get off?
Yeah, they did.
Because he was hitting on them.
Yep. So that was the other thing.
They felt unsafe.
That horrible gay defense, like, that got them off because Chris said that they felt threatened by him hitting on them, and therefore it was like self-defense.
Yes.
Chris. So this is funny. Chris, I dated in high school.
Hi,
really? Chris. Hi, Chris. Welcome.
We became friends after he stopped being an asshole.
That happens so much with men.
But I'm like curious, Chris, do you remember if I came out to you or if I like kept that to myself when we were dating? Because I don't even remember, because I was just so like shy and like anxious about everything I ever did. I came out wrong. I just told everyone I was bi and lost a lot of friends. That's not coming out wrong. Like, I don't know if you, yeah, you were a proposal. He apologized. It's fine.
Okay, it's all good.
Well, yeah, but I want to say that if we can just, I know you don't want to go on a lot of tangents, so I'll try to be quick, but
yeah.
The thing with society was they were violently against gay people, but once they were confronted that like there's a lot more of them among us than we thought, there was this forced narrative in the media that you had to come out in a certain way which was either that you were a man who liked men or you were a woman that liked girls.
Yeah, anything in
was
between was not great.
There was, yeah, or that it was this one-time thing that either led to total acceptance or total rejection. There was like no nuance to that. So I think a lot of people older than myself felt this pressure that like I have to tell them in a certain way this is who I am. Or almost that you expect people to like react badly to it.
Right. In the city where I was living at the time, would have been early 90s, there was a group at the university called LUGs, Lesbian Until Grads. So that was this whole group of girls who were like, yeah, I'm going to do this till grad, and then I'm going to be straight as an arrow. Yeah, okay, good luck with that.
That happened a lot, but also back then, when I slowly started learning history, I learned a lot of it through these independent movies called If These Walls Can Talk. And I watched one where these lesbian couples like couldn't be with each other like in the hospital or at death. And it made me put two and two together about one of my uncles. Nobody in the family ever said anything until after his death. My grandmother confirmed he was probably gay. And I was like, yeah, I think he was gay. Like, even my gaydar was kind of like kicking back then when I was young. But yeah, so when I slowly started learning of the history, I was just like, holy crap, like, is this what I'm going to have to deal with?
I've got a question for you, though, because you were born in 81. So I've heard my mom say something similar about her experience with when I would come home and be like, I'm learning about this in history class. She's like, oh, I lived through that. They didn't consider it. Me as an individual didn't consider it history because I was living it. So is that how you sort of felt about like, because you also would have been, was Stonewall before or after Matt? I think
it was way before,
but I'm just saying, like, are some of these moments that happen within your timeline things that you considered history or things that you considered like I'm living through this and it's impacting my my experience, but not necessarily looking at it as like historical until years later?
I mean, the only things that I mean, it's like when I lived through Columbine, like you're living through something horrible at the moment and you don't know how things are going to be impacted going forward.
Yeah.
And then after a while you can really look back and see the history of everything that happened. But because the first teenager character in media, this was super important. The first out young character on TV was in Dawson's Creek. And it really showed the impact of what that does on a family where a parent doesn't want their kid to be gay and that does everything they can to make it go away. And in the show, that episode, him and his sister basically kick their dad out of the house. It was like, you can't come back here, but keep paying for the house, please. But see, here's the thing. I didn't realize until later either that there were so many runaways, so many parents that would kick their own kids out, because I wasn't hearing a lot of that at the time.
Was that due to being sheltered through the religious stuff that was also in your background?
Because my church definitely had a that's the thing. I would come to church counseling because they didn't want me to like go to therapy.
They wanted you to pray away the gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like, I don't know how to not be honest. Like,
That's
I
not a
don't know
bad thing.
how to like hold things back for my own safety.
Did
And-
your family know that you were autistic? Or is that something? Okay, so I'm wondering how, like, not knowing that traits you know now that you associate with your autism could have made it even more difficult in your LGBT journey, because it's like you're like, I'm just being honest, and your family's like, yeah, you need to not be in certain situations, and you're like, well, I'm just honest, like I don't know like why this is a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody told me to. I mean, they told me to keep it to myself, don't tell anybody, but it wasn't for safety purposes. It was, don't bring shame to this family. But there was already shame in my family, whatever. Like, they can try to pretend that they wanted that, but like, it started with my mother. So I understood like why a lot of parents now, like I understand now why a lot of parents back then, even my grandparents, I don't think they wanted that life for their children, because they didn't want them to be bullied. Like, it's kind of a scary thing to have to be LGBT, and then if you're a parent with a kid that you're just like, oh no. Like, I hope that more parents are now like helping their kids stay safe, because I've always told people who have come to me about like, what should I do? Should I come out? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, are you safe? Because your safety is number one. I did not know this before, but now I can educate new coming out people to make sure that they're safe. Because you don't, even if like your home life isn't great, you have a roof over your head, you have food, hopefully, and it might suck to not like come out and not be open and honest in your life, but unfortunately, especially as a minor, I want people to stay safe and not have to be kicked out or not sent to a conversion camp,
right?
Or anything like
end
that.
up like, I don't want to go on too many tangents, but like my Matthew Shepard, and this, okay, not gonna cry, but my version of Matthew Shepard was Leila Alcorn, because I was on the internet as a college student on Tumblr, following her page she was in high school, and she was not safe when she came out.
Was she trans or lesbian? Or
she
what?
was trans, and the trigger warning, it does not end happy. The TLDR version is she came out to her parents, they disowned her, and she planned her own unaliving and then released her suicide letter on Tumblr.
Wow.
And it just kind of shocked me into this realization that as adults in this community, all of us who have survived ourselves and dangerous situations throughout our own journeys, that the question of the safety of the minor is the number one. Like, you're absolutely right. Regardless of what country or place you are, is the safety of the minor.
Yeah, because in my 20s, even in my 30s, I was like, you have to be yourself. Like, fuck your parents, fuck whoever your guardian is. Like, be yourself. You have to be authentic and be happy. But that's not always the world we live in. And it depends on where people are living in the country. Like, some places are safer than others. And I know that for some school kids, it got better.
Yeah.
At least like from some of the young people I've talked to that have come out, because I don't work with them, but I help sometimes volunteer with them. It's called Youth Cares in Seattle, and they help homeless teenagers, and most of them are LGBTQ. They get things for like school, they get interview clothes. Like, it's a great organization. And at one point there was a center that could let them sleep there, but the city defunded it. So what I think that people should be doing is making note of what resources are in their area so they can be prepared for any kind of scenario that could come out of their home life. Like, my grandparents didn't throw me out because of it, but I'm sure they probably wanted to. Like, the way they acted was like, they just basically went on with their lives pretending that wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
And I've had, even into my 40s, I've had to keep telling my grandmother, "What, do you not remember?" She's like, "Oh, you're still doing that?"
Yeah. Still breathing.
Because
too.
because like the bisexuality people are like, "Can't you just pick one?" I'm like, why do you need to?
I'm like, I tried, it didn't work. I tried that for 21 years, and then here we are.
So I remember when I started learning more about myself and how I felt internally, and had those deeper conversations with friends or even boyfriends or girlfriends or whoever I was dating at the time, I would be like, you know what? I think I'm like my gender is like fluid. Like, I feel like a man sometimes, I feel like a woman. Like, I don't understand this. I don't know what it means. So I was already calling myself gender fluid before non-binary became a thing. And there's a lot of different types of labels. It's kind of annoying because I'm like, why do we need so many that say the same thing basically? But it is, whatever your preference on how you want to identify.
Generational.
Yeah. So I just say, like I said, gender fluid for a while. And then when I found out about being trans, because I didn't really have any trans friends until I moved to Seattle. And I moved here like in 2005.
20 years ago. Wow.
So I did not have, like, I started meeting people that were, like, I have a friend who's a hermaphrodite, which is ambiguous genitalia for an intersex person. And that's like a very, very rare, small percentage of the intersex population. I started just like hanging out with trans people. I dated a trans woman, and I was scared to death because I was like, I don't know, this is all new. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I mean, it was the same thing with like trying to be with a girl intimately for the first time. Like, there was no manual for this.
There was no man either. So yeah.
There was no manual, no instructions. You just kind of had to like figure shit out.
You just had to get awkward. And
yeah, I mean, intimacy is awkward already. It's an awkward thing to like get into to begin with, but one funny story where I sabotaged myself. I was still living at home. I was like 19, and I had a girlfriend, and when like I was talking to my grandmother about like the girls I was dating, when she found out, like, because she was like, "Well, who are you dating?" And I told her, and she was like, "Well, she can't spend the night anymore." I was like, "Oh fuck! Oh, why did I just do that?"
Yeah, shot myself in the foot. We were having such a good time until then. Yeah.
Do you think maybe having your like job at like 15 and then like having experiences is in like I would say in Seattle or the West Coast specifically, which have cultures that are more like progressive in certain
but I
areas,
was
like,
in Virginia growing up.
Yeah, so do you
Yeah, I
think
can't see
like
that being very friendly.
having those experiences on the West Coast sort of like let you be more open with yourself because
Oh,
you
you
could
mean when I
see
got here? Yeah, sorry,
when
I
you
was
got here,
confused.
so like when you
Okay,
moved, you
yeah.
saw like, okay, there are people like me who are able to live a life that is TV adjacent, like they have jobs, they're happy with their partner, like they're just going through normal people struggles. Like, do you think that helped kind of like you figure yourself out a little bit and become more like confident that like this is who I am and like
Mhm.
I don't know if you dealt with like internal phobia at all. Like, so I know
No.
some friends I've had who've took a while to come out, got
Yeah.
internalized
No, that
phobia.
happens, especially in religious spaces. That will happen. My church knew all about me. They even knew that I had an abortion because I came to church counseling to talk to them about it. I was like, I'm gonna do this. This is my decision, but I just need someone to say it's gonna be okay.
Let me guess, they didn't?
Well, here's the thing. My church was always wrapped up in like pleasantries to where like if they were insulting you in some way, they would wrap it up in a like, I wouldn't say respectful manner, but like passive aggressively? Is that the right word?
Yeah,
They'd
I
be
think so.
very passive aggressive about it until they became aggressive with me about some things. Like make this make sense. The most aggressive thing that ever happened to me at my church was when I was wearing a Nightmare Before Christmas t-shirt under my choir robe. So nobody saw it until afterwards, and I got yanked on, and she was like, that's not very appropriate to wear to church. And this is a lady that's known me since I was 3 years old. And I'm like, that's what you're really mad? Like, it's just a t-shirt. What?
I was the Baptist pastor's daughter, and I got in trouble for dancing.
Oh my gosh.
Dancing to Christian music. Not like doing the whole bump and grindy thing. We're talking like just grooving. I get in trouble for dancing.
I mean,
you
you might have accidentally lifted your pant leg so they saw your ankle, Kim. And ankles, don't you know like how sexual ankles are?
Yeah, that
It's
is
the ankles,
gateway right
man.
there.
Make ankles sexy again.
That's right.
I can get behind that campaign. So even
hi Jen. Thank you for being here, Jen.
That's interesting. So did they
Oh,
you
Jen,
never
what?
came out, but they made fun of you for being gay. So
yeah, people did that all the time. Like they would like accuse people of being gay or throw the word. People would throw the word faggot around a lot back then.
Yeah. And they still do in certain areas.
Yeah.
I live in a teeny weeny little town. There's less than 1,000 people where I live. There's probably more people in our local shopping mall than live in my town. But the school there, statistically speaking, there has to have been some homosexual, bisexual, pansexual, something or other going on, statistically speaking, for many, many years. But if anybody ever said, it's me, like not me, but like if they were claiming it, for themselves, that was a whole nother ball of wax, right?
Are your allergies bothering you too? Because holy crap, I've been talking and my throat keeps closing up.
Yeah. Okay. What is
I also wanted to say
we're just doing a weird group sippy cup. It's not like we planned it. We all just have allergies.
I also have cough drops. You want one?
not sponsored, but Starbucks
Oh, man.
refreshers are awesome.
Yeah.
They are.
I can't have those. They are really high in caffeine.
Are they?
Yeah.
I never looked at how much caffeine is in them.
They
I don't-
have caffeine,
not-
but it's less than the iced coffee.
Not all of them do, unless they started adding that in after I left Starbucks. But they only had 2 flavors of refreshers when I worked there. Now there's like a million of them. But anyway, so after, moving like Indigo, after moving to Seattle and getting like, more knowledge and like learning more about the community in general, because I never really fully researched anything. And so I started learning about Stonewall and about the ballroom culture in New York City, and Harvey Milk, what happened to him. And I think that was
Tell
in
me
San
about Stonewall, because
Francisco.
I'm not familiar with that, and you two have both brought it up.
Sure. Do you want to take that one, Mandy, or I can talk for a bit if you need a break?
Why don't you go ahead, Indigo?
Okay.
I'm gonna pull something up.
Stonewall was like a huge watershed moment for the community. Sorry, I'm trying to reorient my brain into my body. So in 1969, and this is what we're talking about, is in the 60s up through, when Matthew Shepard happened, crime against the LGBT community you didn't get justice for the victims.
No.
A lot of times, because
the police were going into, not to cut you off, sorry, but the police were going into these gay bars to harass gay people.
And not just gay, because a lot of times people had to, it's now called going underground, but it basically was, they would have special nights where they would be like, we're doing a special night tonight. And that would be like, the LGBT people would come out and have a club night where they could be openly gay and together and like experience the club lifestyle. And the police would just raid, like they would do these raids on these clubs. And with Stonewall specifically, they had an issue with their serving license. And so the police used that as an excuse to bust up the club. And they were dragging people out by their hair. They were tear gassing them. Then it turned into a riot because the patrons were like, it's one thing if they lied to us and served us alcohol with an expired license. But you're doing like unneeded violence against the patrons. And so also mixed in, I'm trying to TLDR, is like drag queens and stuff also too were kind of like enfolded hookers and stuff. A lot of people joined this riot to be
it was because of sodomy laws.
Laws, yeah. But a lot of people joined the riot and was like, you can't just like physically assault us. Like we have rights, like aside from being gay.
How do they know? Like, I don't understand how they could have laws around sodomy. Like, are they following people home to see if they have sex in their house and be like, oh, sodomy?
Well,
like, it's also fucking stupid.
And who's to say a straight couple couldn't as well? So, I mean, come on now.
But now that it's become such an, I hate saying iconic, but historical. There you go. It is is a national monument because of like it started this huge conversation about the treatment of gay people, and like I said, enfolded into that is also like drag queen culture and and stuff like that. And I mean, we've got a similar horrific event that is much more modern was the Pulse nightclub shooting.
Chris
Yes.
Chris has a point. It's the Pride parades came after Stonewall.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what was the catalyst to starting like Pride marches every year.
Yeah.
And right to bring our rights as citizens of the United States being violated on the basis that you disagree with us being gay or whatever. And especially because, like Mandy said, with Shepard, it was like for the longest time, people would be like, well, I just felt threatened by them hitting on me. They were gay, and they would just like, they wouldn't even get punished for literally like murdering somebody.
Do you know what off the top of your head what the case was that changed the gay defense law?
I don't. Because I know there's also Brandon Tina, but I don't know if that.
Yeah, it's called the gay panic defense, or.
But I would think that when Harvey Milk got assassinated for being the first gay senator, that would also be a huge watershed moment that would make people reconsider laws, because he was, I mean, unfortunately, he was a senator. So it was a bit like, this is a really crass way to put it. Trigger warning. Obviously, I don't believe in stating it this way, but senators have more impact than a random citizen.
Of course.
Like
anybody in the public eye.
But
but
they couldn't sweep under the rug that it was because he was gay.
So you could use the gay panic law clear up until 2006, and even some states still allow you to use it.
Wow.
But in 2006 is when the California state legislation penal code got amended to include that you cannot use gay panic as a defense or trans panic as a defense. So California is the first one that did it. And since then, the American Bar Association has been working with each state to get rid of these panic defenses.
Wow.
Especially too because it's a hate crime.
Oh, absolutely.
That's victim blaming. That's like saying,
well,
they were wearing what they were wearing, and that's why I art her.
To dial it back, it's you are target. First of all, it's premeditated, so there's no accidentally. Like Matthew Shepard and Brandon Tina weren't accidents; those were targeted hate crimes.
And there's been a ton of trans women, especially being murdered, not just here, but in all places like Colombia, Brazil, like
still do it. Yep. And then all of those places that have honor killings for so many offenses. That just happens to be one, right?
And I will say the one funny thing that came out of the panic defense is a doctor, a psychiatrist, wrote up an article on homosexual panic disorder, calling it a mental disorder that where you like are so, I guess, intensely panicked over a homosexual experience or a person that is homosexual that you can't not hurt them. Like, I don't think it's in the DSM-5, but
Yeah, pretty sure it's not.
But
Yeah.
yeah, this was written up at one point as like homosexual
Wow.
panic disorder. Because
And-
like it was like a loss of self-control, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's important to understand, like, there's even so when things are made into law,
Mm-hmm.
but not challenged. So, for example, there's still laws in Chicago where I suppose if somebody really disagree with it and found out, like, say, I'll just use me as a future example. Like, say I moved in with my girlfriend, and our landlord really had an issue with it. If there were laws on our books that made it okay for him to evict us based on his discomfort, he
Yes.
could do it lawfully because they're still on the books. That's why it's so important to look at these cases
Mm-hmm.
and
Mhm.
see how, like Mandy was saying, like going back to Stonewall and moving forward to 2006 when California looked back and was like, hey, we need to change or unamend this law because it's actually like discrimination or allowing for a hate crime or whatever. You have to have people willing to stand up and fight for that to be removed, because
Mhm.
otherwise people can always argue that they did it. Well, it says it in the law.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
that's
right.
the kind of thing that would make it, like Mandy was saying earlier, like it's not just is the minor or adult coming out going to be safe personally. It's like you could stand to lose
Everything.
literally everything, where you
Yeah.
live, your job,
Yeah.
and in some cases, if there's the wrong type of people around, your life.
Mhm.
So that's why, recounting our stories and trying to bring in those historical or other cases to say, like, these impacted us personally because it could have been us.
Yeah. And
we could have been at that
now-
club. We could have been at that parade
Yeah.
at any point in
but
our
now
life.
we're seeing our rights being taken away again. Stonewall was amended to say only LGB. So basically every other letter is getting erased, even though it was trans women who really were like the helpers in that riot. Marsha P.
Yeah.
Johnson, what was the other woman's name? Sylvia something?
Sylvia, I don't remember her last name, but I think her first
And
name
it
is Sylvia.
Just them, but like to have like an actual historical thing get changed because the government said to erase some people, like
Mm-hmm.
they're erasing history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I feel like it's getting scary real fast again, because we've had 2 minors that I know of die this year. One was suicide. It was a little 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
And the other one was beaten in the bathroom. Yeah.
Yeah. Fortunately, in Canada, we are nationally legislated when it comes to those types of laws. It's not per in like district kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not each state or each province having a different law. We are covered federally for that. So I'm very grateful for that. But at the same time, we need to make sure that these laws stay up to date and they
Mm-hmm.
the rights don't get taken away. Because once you've been given a right, to take it away is just that much more cruel.
And like just like sit with that discomfort for a couple minutes, guys. A 12-year-old unaliving themselves, like a child.
It's not the first. It's not the
I know
first.
they're not, but I'm
And
just
not the
saying,
youngest.
No.
But I know, but I'm just saying.
But yeah.
if that doesn't make you uncomfortable, objectively,
This is why I really, really despise people saying it's a choice. Why do I have to like your choices? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I didn't choose to have an identity that would get me potentially murdered. Like,
yeah. Do you really think
that
I would choose that?
It's not fun. Like,
I just think of it this way, like, what gives anybody the right to devalue a human life?
Mm-hmm.
An individual that you don't know anything about, living their authentic self, actually talking about community and helping their neighbor and spreading empathy, which is the exact thing that I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm pretty damn sure that's the fucking golden rule in the Bible, is treat your neighbor like you would treat yourself. And yes, I don't, that breaks my heart, but I don't blame them. You know, and I mean, other people this year, we saw a 25-year-old trans man named Sam, who was
oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Posted that on
beaten
my
to death in New York
community
at college.
page.
Like, that's why I'm using words like objective. None of the violence and horror being put on people is subjective.
No,
it's objectively wrong.
It's objectively
to
horrible.
Play any type of deity in your head and decide if somebody you disagree with should live or die.
Also, I'm pretty sure that at one point a translation of the Bible said man shouldn't lie with boys, which was talking about pedophilia and not homosexuality.
No, Sodom specifically, and the Sodomites specifically, is both. But
oh yeah, because I know that like there's been some translations
out
there that are different.
Yeah,
there's different translations. There were definitely man-boy relationships that were definitely, not okay. But then, like Indigo was saying, the man-to-man, like the adult men relationships, are also in that same category when you talk about the original languages.
Now, because I've been out of the church for so long, I used to know the Bible front to back. What book is the Sodomites, like, did they talk about? Does that exist in the King James Version?
Leviticus?
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, it's been in all of them. It's in the book of Exodus, I believe.
Exodus. All right.
Sorry, Exodus. Yeah. Why am I thinking about Leviticus?
Because Leviticus is right after Exodus.
And
that is the one with all the laws.
The Old Testament.
That's, to me, is, and I will say, like, oh, it's been an hour.
We can go over a little bit. It's fine. Because I have another thing to share.
Yeah, I was going to say, was there something else? Because, I mean, you did want to cover kind of like these.
Yeah. So I want to do more of these kinds of talks. I have other ideas of topics. Like I've been starting to research the symbols gay people have used along like the decades. Because we do know for a fact that like the Jews were marked with the pink triangle by the Nazis. That was taken back to be used in like in a more of a positive way. Yeah. I mean, for men at one point, it was like the green carnation. Like for lesbians at one point, it was a handkerchief in your pocket. Like it was just like these little symbols to like notate to people, like we're silently, this is symbol, we know what this means.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like for
And we-
example, a lot of these originated in, I don't want to say originated in like the teens and 20s, but it would have been at a time when being visible, like being visible was even more dangerous, but also if people weren't in the know about what the symbol was, they would think it was like just a pin on your lapel or just a
Yes.
handkerchief in your
Mhm.
pocket. Symbols that were used specifically because fashions at the time included like handkerchiefs folded certain ways, or so they appropriated things that straight people used
Mm-hmm.
and put their own twist on it so they could be like, hey girl, or
Yeah.
hey boy.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to say that when we see these symbols being reused by people in power now,
Mhm. It's terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
But
it
they
is.
want you to be scared is the thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I'm scared, but I'm also trying really hard mentally to be like, no, fuck this. Like we've come too far to like let this shit happen again. Like no.
And here's the thing too, is we have just like the slaves had allies even within the South, like they had to have to get to the North.
Absolutely. Yep.
And the way they did it was people decided, and you can still see this in rural Illinois in certain areas that are now have historical, markers on them,
Mm-hmm.
is they took crochet squares that people used in quilting
Mm-hmm.
and they orientated them. Well, they blew them up like giant and stuck them on the front of their barn roof. And if it was orientated, pointed a certain way, it says, our barn is a safe place for you to stay for the night. If someone got suspicious or whatever the case, they would flip the angle of the crochet square and people would know they have to lay low. Our allies, right, have to lay low now, and we have to try to find
Oh my
another
gosh.
safe location.
I know this is like a side tangent, but that made me remember there was a part of history where, especially during the Great Depression, there were a lot of like people, just vagrants. And so they would go house to house to find meals or bedding or whatever. And then when they left, whether or not they got rejected or they actually stayed there, they would have markers to put on the mailboxes to let like the next vagrant that passes by, if that house has food or if that house has already been emptied or whatever. So they had like these codes that they would have marked in like places on like mailboxes or wherever, so that when people walked by, they knew whether or not someone had already been there to use that house, or if they're going to turn your way, don't even bother. So people have used these like types of little symbols pretty much our whole human history. I mean, symbols were there before language was written. So symbols are very powerful, but also symbols can be very dangerous.
Yes,
so
they can.
Something I started doing at conventions years ago now, and I've lost my original, but I made I think I did an armband because it was more visible than a pin. Because like to see a pin, you have to be like
Yeah.
right up in someone's face. But I essentially made an armband that was just like a rainbow bathroom door.
Mm-hmm.
And like I think I just blended the stick figures or something. So I kind of did like half a guy and half a girl. And I was basically like, okay, people will like trans or LGBT people will get it. Like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
and I don't give a fuck if I have to pee and you're like a trans man and you don't feel comfortable going in the men's room. I'll go with you. Like, I don't care which
Mhm.
bathroom I'm going in.
Mhm.
I'll go in confidently. I'm already dressed in cosplay anyway.
I did get harassed in the airport because I'm
Yeah.
disabled and the women's bathroom was being cleaned and it was closed. And I was like, I can't walk all the way down to get into another
Yeah.
one. And I
Yeah.
was like, so I'm just going to go in the men's. And there was 2 other girls that followed me. And, you know, I was like, I'm non-binary. So like, I'll protect you, basically. And we got harassed by the cleaning guy. And he's like, if I go in a women's bathroom, I'll get the cops called on me. And I'm like, I'm non-binary. Shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, I don't. But like anyway, I made that because I was like, that is one of the hinge arguments that they try to throw out, that like people like trans people are like it's dangerous to let them go in the restroom of their gender. And I'm like,
and mostly it's just going after trans women. Like, I think some people genuinely don't believe that trans men exist. Because I had someone I was arguing with once online be like, I've never even seen a trans man. I'm like, oh my God.
So you've never seen a man wearing a slightly billowier shirt and really, really, really straight pants. Like, yeah.
but
Like,
that's
that
the
is just
thing too, is
like, you have to think outside of you. Like, you can't.
Oh, yeah.
and I will say, I just want to shout out someone in the chat because Barbie is like the dream parent
Mm-hmm.
that every
Yeah.
LGBT kid like wants in their life, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say that like her being open and wanting to ask questions, it's
Mm-hmm.
uncomfortable to know that you're ignorant about a topic that you need to protect your child. Like for me, it was my best friend. I didn't know everything that he was going to face when he came out to me. All I knew is that once he did it, I mean, if he said he was who he said he was, okay, that's not my call to make. But for a parent, like I'm really starting to understand now more of the parent's perspective after like talking to Barbie and talking to one of my high school friends whose son is 16 years old right now. And I just want to say, like, kudos to you, because that like parental fear,
Mm-hmm.
I can empathize with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't understand it. Like it must be freaking terrifying seeing the world right now. But the fact that you're still there educating and learning and trying to push back and protect your child and keep this world like a safe, accepting place, like that takes a lot of strength.
Yeah.
To confront that and to like make community. And that's what an ally does. It puts aside your ego and your fear of ignorance for the betterment of society.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say it, I fully embrace. I had no idea. And I'm sorry to put it this way, what I was getting into when my friend came out to me when we were in our 20s.
Mm-hmm.
But I would do it all over again the exact fucking same way. Because he's still alive today and he's married now. And I have like a very important friend. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So these kids, they're looking, they're keeping eyes out. They're desperate to know there's at least one adult.
Yeah.
Even, and I hope for more kids out there that at least one of the adults is their fucking parent.
Yeah.
But if
or
it's
at least
not,
the parent of a very close friend, right?
or if it's not, that they know there are adults out here who are fighting for you, are standing with you, are not we're afraid. I'm not going to sugarcoat it and lie and say we're not scared to death, but we also value
That's
you
why
as
we need
people.
to come together. And PSA to all my lovely LGBTQ family out there, stop fighting. Stop saying that non-binary people are the cause of all this. Stop saying that trans people don't exist and that that's coming from the transsexual community. Like the lesbians that are turfy against non-binary and trans people. I just don't get it. We're a part of the same fucking community. We're all getting shit on. So why are we shitting on each other and being like, well, you can't be this way because I say so? It's like you're no better than the rest of them doing that to
And it
us.
comes from the fear because again, it's like there's this dissonance of,
oh, Barbie, thank you for
when we
being
all
here.
started together. Yes. It's like we all started together understanding we were fighting for everyone's rights. But the problem with people who want control is that they have now taken the acceptance stick or bacon or whatever they're dangling in front of people and saying, oh, we'll only keep accepting you if
you meet
you
my version.
If you don't accept that person. And the fear that the stakes of what you can lose, the more personal they become for some people, the thicker the dissonance becomes between what they give up integrity wise. Like for me, if somebody said you would be totally safe, but you would have to give up this person, I'd be like, I'm going down with the ship. Like I am not turning my back on a single other person in this community, even if they've hurt me in the past. Like, you know, if I saw them out on the street getting harassed, I would still step up and try to help them. Because no one deserves that fear and anxiety and, you know, and to have to feel like, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you think, who can I trust with my life?
Yeah.
It's our lives, guys. The lives of people you care about and the lives of children. And the objective right answer is their lives are legitimate and they matter. And we should do everything in our power to preserve that. For each other.
That's why I want to stand up. That's why I want to be an ally, because I am a conservative, evangelical Christian, all of the titles that are usually very scary for marginalized communities, because people who like to say that I'm in their tent are very, very hostile to a lot of people.
Well, the evangelical movement has been embedded into the right-wing government for a very long time. They've been the number one thing for the past 50 years has been overturning Roe v. Wade. Like has been their goal for so long. And now that they got that, they want to challenge Oberfeld, which is gay marriage, which I'm not sure if they're going to touch that because that's a lot of paperwork. There's so many people that are already married. Like, do you see them
Yeah.
like trying to redo all that paperwork?
No.
They
Anyway.
might, though. Everything is on the table. But I wanted to talk about one more thing before we
Okay.
end it, because I felt like this
Okay.
is really important.
And I want to honor your time. So
Yeah, and because like when we were talking about behind the scenes, like doing the journey of how it started and where we're at,
mhm.
and like I don't think it's any better. I think it's gotten so much worse because we've not seen this much hostile invasion onto like really erasing some people in a very long time.
Mhm.
And it has made other people be not just like mean, but really nasty. Like calling people like us pedophiles, calling us like perverts. And I mean, yeah, sometimes I can be a pervert, but
Who can't?
but I do that on my adult time, okay?
That's right.
Like, we're not the biggest perverts that people are trying to make us out to be. And that's like the propaganda that's out there. And so the first time I ever had a job at a preschool, I was confronted by a parent asking me about my genitals. Yes.
At which point do you say, what genitals do you have?
Yeah, I was just like so taken back by this. And like, it's my first week at this place, and it's my first time being out to my coworkers. And so we were on a break in between classes, and the teacher, I guess this parent knows this teacher really well, and so she came in. I thought it was a staffer. I didn't know it was a parent until later. But the teacher asked me a little bit more about non-binary to like clarify things. And if people are genuinely curious, of course I'm going to educate them, because like, yeah, I want people to learn things. But we can't be asking people what's between their legs. That is actual sexual harassment. And there are people that will sit there and tell me that it's not. And I'm like, I don't want people to know what's between my legs. It's nobody's business. So why are we asking that? Like, why are we now at a point where they're trying to check little girls' genitals to make sure they're going in the right locker room? Like, it's insane territory. So they're calling us perverts, yet they're like, we need to check everybody's genitals. Make that make sense.
The math isn't mathin'.
So with that being said, I want everybody to just fucking relax, hold each other, and ask genuine questions. Like, I can usually tell if someone is just mocking me or being disingenuous. Like, I'm not gonna, if someone is really curious, yeah, I will take my time to educate them. I will give them some resources. But if you're just gonna waste my time, I'm not gonna bother, because I'm not gonna change your mind.
Right.
Yeah.
You just want to argue with me.
Yeah. See, I hate arguing. Like, I have my religious beliefs. You have your religious beliefs. I'm not going to convert you. You're not going to convert me. So let's have a healthy discussion about them. That at least it's a discussion rather than an argument, which is pointless for both sides. Right.
I just want to say that another good topic for a video is how to tell that society is trying to make you think a certain way. Because for me, it's uncomfortable to be confronted with privileges you have based on how you were born. But it's important to sit with that discomfort and think, okay, what historical thing does this come from this
Mhm.
assumption someone's made about me.
Mm-hmm.
But how can I take my privilege and use it to boost this person's story or the historical fact of this situation? Because I
Mhm.
think the more that we focus on facts and the more that we do call people out when they cross a boundary that's none of their business, the more it shows others around that person have a seed of doubt. My dad told me something very important. He's like, don't believe everything you're told. And I
Mhm.
said, even by you? Because, I was being cheeky. I was like, what are you going to do? Ground me? And he's like, if you honestly in your gut feel like something I'm telling you isn't right, I'll try to help you figure out why. Maybe there's something I don't know and I'm going off outdated information. But he's like, the most important question you can always ask is why. And if there's somebody willing to point you in the right direction and offer you a source that can help answer that question, you've already started trying to be a better person.
Yeah.
Because you're already confronting something. Like, you're already admitting, I just don't know this. Or,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay to admit also that you're wrong. Like, I come up against so many people who are just like so adamant in their position. And I lost a friend recently because I would correct some things, or I would just state like how I see it from my perspective. And they saw it as me always trying to make them feel stupid. And I'm like, I can't deal with people like that. Like, you have like that's some sort of weird insecurity that like they're projecting onto me. And I'm just like, well, the person doesn't have really good taste. They're big conspiracy theorists, but they just like those people will not listen. And I do not know why you cannot break through to these people. Like this, there's a person that I know that doesn't believe in space. Like, how did we get here? Like, how did we get here?
I thought you were gonna.
That's
like
a unique form of stupid. Like, honestly.
And I don't want to call these people stupid, but like,
no, it's a unique form of it.
If you don't believe anything that you're being told, but you have these weird takes, then you believe in something.
Exactly.
But you're not willing to have your mind changed or look at anything another way.
Yeah.
And that's what I always want to challenge people on is like, even if you don't think this way or you don't want to participate in XYZ, just think about it from that other person's perspective. Like, I do the same thing, like, just for example, with music. I don't say someone sucks. I say they're talented, but I don't jive with that music.
Or not I even like a piece or two. Yeah. I just don't like that general style.
Yeah, it's like not everything is for you personally.
Really?
That's what people need to
that?
That's why people need to stop thinking that everything needs to be tailored to them. Yeah. And that's just not how human nature works.
No.
But anyway, I want everybody to be happy and stay hydrated. Hug your cats or puppies or whatever you have at home.
Or your stuffies.
Because
I don't have cats or kids at home right now, so.
And I'm always like available to talk to people. Like, I think Barbie was one of the ones that asked me questions a while back about how do they deal with having a trans, like what are the right things to say or do or whatever. And I love helping people. That is like, I feel like that's my purpose in life, is just to help people because I needed that. So
it's almost like your calling is teaching.
Yeah. But also, like, I love researching things. Like, I just have so much knowledge.
It's almost like your calling is teaching.
I will like stuff weird things into my brain that mean nothing to me, but I just have these random facts.
Yeah. Alrighty. People, thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being so open and honest and free with yourself.
I'm sorry if I'm a little over caffeinated.
That's okay. But thank you so much. I really want to thank these lovely individuals. They are two of the bravest people I've met in a long time. So thank you very much for being here.
I love you guys.
Love you guys too.
Have an awesome evening,
everybody, for coming and chipping in and
yes, remember, like the live, subscribe,
find our emails. We're always willing to answer questions and kind of, because we can only do so much, but it's always okay to ask why. That is the wisdom I leave.
There's my email in case anybody for any reason wants to, even if it's not about LGBTQ stuff, I'm here just to be an ear if someone needs it or something like that. So
absolutely.
I want everybody to stay healthy, stay happy, and we'll speak to you all soon.
Sounds great. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 2. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Some come with scars, some come with dreams. In this circle, we're more than what we seem. No judgment here, just voices to be heard. Through laughter, through the tears, we find every word. I'm my brother's keeper, I'm my sister's guide. Standing here together with nothing left to hide. We lift each other up when the world feels torn apart. We're keepers of the flame, we're the healers of the heart.